NewsCenter Maine presents Agree to Disagree with Phil Harriman and Ethan Strimling, an ongoing podcast on Maine politics. Phil, a Republican, and Ethan, a Democrat, are two of Maine's most well-known and respected political analysts. Every week and sometimes daily, get new episodes discussing all things political and how it affects Mainers like you. And now, here's Phil and Ethan.
Welcome to episode 16 of the Agree to Disagree podcast with Phil and Ethan, a weekly podcast on NewsCenter Maine from now through Election Day. Philip, what a beautiful day we got out there, huh?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully there's more coming. I'm still stuck on the fact that we've done this 16 times already, and we still got a few more to go before Election Day.
I know. I can't believe it. We were on the radio the other day, and I think the host asked you, how do you handle the irritation of the presidential debates, which we'll get into? And I think you mentioned something, well, I have to be on the air with Ethan 2 or 3 times a week, so that's nothing compared to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm well trained in irritation by the presidential elections come around.
Yeah. Hey, what's with the law library? Have you decided to go to law school there? I like the
Well, I just tried to add a little intellectual influence to our discussion.
All right. Well, let's see if it works. So we got a lot to talk about this week. We got the second and final presidential debate between Biden and Trump. We got Gideon raising $40 million. That is 40, not 4, not 14, $40 million in one quarter. We got national groups are starting to pull out of the crafts golden race. What does that mean? Record absentee ballots. Supreme Court says ballots after Election Day can be counted in Pennsylvania. Very interesting. See if that precedent goes further. Mills criticized Vice President Pence for his maskless rally. Trump criticized Collins for her Amy Coney Barrett potential vote. Each party's putting up signs pretending to be the other, and we got so much more to talk about. Boy, this is going to be a busy show.
And we get to play a little Love It, Hate It, or Wake Me Up when it's over. And our executive producer extraordinary, Schoolsy, tells us how you did in the hot seat for last week's Nailed It or Failed It.
Feeling pretty good about last week, buddy. Although my New York Giants failed me again. All right, you ready to play? Let's dive in. Schoolsy, kick it off.
As Speaker of the House, I solemnly and sadly open the debate.
All right, my friend, the second and final debate is on for Thursday night with new rules on the presidential race. It will be live. It will be in person. However, one new rule is that the mics will be turned off when the other candidate is responding to the initial question. Then back to World Wrestling Federation Part 2. Phil, what are you hoping to see from Trump tonight?
I actually hope that he recognizes that the messages he was trying to deliver in the first debate never hit home because he was constantly interrupting and talking over and irritating. So tonight, I hope he comes across as more confident, more prepared, and actually let Joe Biden speak. I think the more Joe gets to ramble on, the more Trump gets to make his point. So I would say, listen, be patient, and control your emotions.
Are you gonna say be presidential? You gonna say
Be presidential.
You've been saying that for 6 years, buddy, and
I know.
You can't get it out of them. So
I know. What I find interesting, though, is that the debate topics tonight have nothing to do with foreign policy, which I would think, after all that our country has been through over the last 2 decades, we would want to know, particularly with Joe, what is the foreign policy that we're going to be deploying?
That's interesting that you say that. I actually think that domestic stuff is all that really people want to hear about at the moment. They want to hear about COVID. They want to hear about the economy, certainly some stuff around the environment, schools, all those other issues. Healthcare is another big one. But for me, COVID and the economy are the top two, and I think that's what people really want to understand. We know, obviously, what Donald Trump's foreign policy has been. He has his record from the last 4 years. Joe Biden, he's been on Foreign Relations Committee, vice president. I think people have a pretty good idea of where his foreign policy lies. I wouldn't mind a little bit of that conversation. But for my money, I think they really need to dive in. What are they going to do about the economy? What are they going to do about COVID? You know, Donald Trump, you said you want him to be more prepared. My understanding is he hasn't done any preparation this week, whereas Joe Biden's been preparing every day. So I know his advisors want him to be more presidential, like you say, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. You got nothing else to add, Phil?
Well, I wasn't sure if we'd run out of time.
All right. Well, I think you could, if you got anything more you want to add. He's
Okay.
not swinging the gavel on you yet.
Well, to me, Ethan, the question becomes how are the two of them going to run the economy? How are they going to deal with our international relations? Joe Biden has been very critical of the president on these trade deals. There's accusations that Biden has been involved in, deals with his sons that don't pass the straight face test. It would be interesting to have those in a moderated debate style than opposed to them lobbing bombs at each other in their debate.
Well, if we could have a respectful conversation about some of those things, fine. But I think most people don't care about those matters. I think people, if we're going to talk foreign policy, what they're going to want to hear is, are you more interventionist? Are you more isolationist? How do you negotiate? What are you trying to reach in terms of your goals around foreign policy? That to me is important. Are you trying to get environmental regulations in place? What kind of workers' rights are you making sure? Human rights, all of that kind of work. That to me is interesting. I don't think most people care about all of this Joe Biden family stuff. It's a sideshow.
Strim, your candidate, Sarah Gideon, raised almost $40 million in the final quarter of the campaign for the U.S. Senate. I hope you heard me. 40 million. That's 5 times as much as has ever previously been raised in an entire cycle for someone running for any office in Maine. Tell me you are as disgusted by all this outside money as I am.
Yeah, look, I mean, money in politics is something I've been railing against for decades. Been a huge supporter of clean elections. We're trying to get clean elections even passed in the municipality of Portland. We've got to get money out of politics. But I think what this is a reflection of is that people understand nationally building a Democratic majority is very, very important. I mean, and remember, while Susan Collins did not raise anywhere near that amount of money, she's raised a record amount of money. She's raised almost $25 million in total, well below what Gideon has raised, but a record nonetheless. I think people all around the country are paying attention to this race, disappointed in Susan Collins, but fundamentally they want to get rid of Mitch McConnell, and they know getting rid of Susan Collins is a step on that path.
Yeah, I get all that from a political strategy and political psychology point of view, but this may backfire on Sarah Gideon. I think Maine people are overwhelmed with this campaign. You can't turn in any direction without it being pushed in your face. I don't think they can spend all the money that they have corralled for Sarah Gideon. And let's be candid. She didn't go out and solicit this money around the country. This money came to her through a very well orchestrated effort to unseat Susan Collins. And I won't be surprised if on election day, Mainers send a message that no, our Senate seat isn't up for auction. And no, we're not going to let people from other parts of the country who have wealth beyond the average Mainer who could ever imagine, they're not going to let them buy the Senate seat.
Now, the problem, I wish that message was sent all the time. I wish it had been sent to Susan Collins donors in past years when she raised more money than her opponent. But, unfortunately, money doesn't really have that impact. People don't reject it based on that. They decide what it is that the candidate's values are, and do those values represent their values. And I think that is ultimately what will happen on Election Day. The money just gives you an opportunity to communicate that message a lot more deeply to voters in the state. But I think that in the end, voters will decide based on the values of Sarah Gideon and the values of Susan Collins, who it is they want to represent them.
Well, we need to be careful what we wish for, because Susan Collins is next in line to be the chair of the Appropriations Committee in the U.S. Senate. That is arguably one of the most powerful committee assignments in Washington. And talk about the value that means to the state of Maine for decades to come. We could lose that opportunity, and someone else will serve in that seat, and Maine will be left behind.
Speaking of money, Dale Crafts. In the other direction, national backers have pulled the plug. The Republican House Committee pulled their ad buy last week, and now the House Democrats have followed suit. Bill, is it over for Dale? And if so, why did that happen?
Well, as you and I know, because we've followed these things for more than a decade, you and I have been involved in referendum campaigns. The dollars tend to flow to where the results are best accomplished. Tracking polls probably gave both sides a signal that their position was secure, and those dollars are now being redirected to other races around the country. So at least from the political scientist point of view, they have determined that this race is secure for their personal, professional reasons. But Dale Crafts still has an opportunity. There's 2 weeks left to go. He needs to find a way to attract attention so that he can describe for the voters in the 2nd Congressional District why they really should give him a chance to sit in that seat. And the fact that these dollars have now gone into other races around the country makes that challenge even more uphill.
Yeah, I think it's too late. I appreciate, every candidate wants to hang on right until the end, but with 3 weeks to go, they pulled out all the money. There's now only 2 weeks. There's no indication that he's rising up. And, he still has to introduce himself to voters. People don't know who he is. You wouldn't walk down the street and, probably find half the folks, if you said his name, would able to identify who he is or what he's doing. So he's really done a terrible job on that. And he did even worse job making clear why Jared Golden needed to be replaced. I mean, he's popular. He's done a good job for his district. People respect him up there. The fundamental tenet of any campaign, if you're running against an incumbent, is you got to convince people why this guy's got to be fired. He's done neither. This race is over. He should just fold it up.
Well, he's not going to do that. He is a warrior in the sense that he's overcome every challenge that's been put in front of him for his entire adult life. Don't assume that Dale Crafts is going to fold his tent. He's not going to do that. And you never know what the next day will bring in terms of an opportunity to introduce yourself to the 2nd Congressional District, and that's what he's got to hang his hat on. That the opportunity is still in front of him, and not give up.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the money to communicate it, and nobody's helping him do that. So, I hear you. I appreciate everybody fighting right until the end. But, you've really got to have a better plan than what he had. I would say he was a little bit shortchanged. Remember, he didn't become the nominee until almost 6 weeks later than most nominees get the ticket. But, you had to plan for that, and you had to be ready for it, and you had to be ready to define it. And I'm not sure if he was the best candidate for Republicans to put forth or not, but he hasn't really showed himself to be somebody who will, maybe he's got a future. I don't know. This one's not looking very impressive. All right, my friend, here we go with Love It, Hate It, or Wake Me Up When It's Over, your favorite part of the show. We're going to throw out 6 different topics, get a quick response from the other one. You ready?
I am. Let's do it.
All right, friend. Number 1, 278,000 ballots have been cast already in Maine, with Democrats outpacing Republicans by 2-1. Phil, you loving this? You hating this? Or wake me up when it's over?
I'm saying wake me up when it's over. I think the passion to vote this year has never been stronger. I sense it on both sides, including independents. Many people are using the opportunity to cast an absentee ballot, as I have already done, because they want to make sure that their vote gets in and counted. Many people are just taking the extra precaution to not go through the voter registration, the election line for COVID-19 reasons. I think at the end of the day, what's going to matter is how many people actually voted, whether it was before Election Day or on Election Day.
That's fair.
Ethan, the U.S. Supreme Court says Pennsylvania can count ballots that come in up to 3 days after the election day. Strim, you loving this, hating this, or shall we wake you up when it's over?
I'm loving this, and it reflects a little bit on the state of Maine. Our judge said no, we couldn't do that here. I understand it's all state rules, but I wish the Supreme Court had actually ruled that all states should be counting ballots after Election Day as long as they came in with a postmark by Election Day, just like we do with our military ballots overseas. Makes no sense to me. If you get your ballot in by the close of your city hall on Election Day, your ballot should count, even if it got delayed by the post office. Phil, Janet Mills criticized Vice President Pence for holding a rally that violated state rules on numbers of people who can congregate and masks and social distancing and pretty much everything else you could imagine. Phil, are you loving this, you hating it, or wake me up when it's over? Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's the second one you're sleeping on. All these, you just can't wait to get to Election Day.
Well, I think we all feel that way. I said two things. One, I didn't hear Governor Mills jump to the hot microphones and criticize the Black Lives demonstrations in Portland for not socially distancing and masking. This was an opportunity to, take a political hit. And if you were invited to this event, you were encouraged in writing, not encouraged, you were notified in writing to wear a mask and recognize social distancing. Okay. Maine GOP, Ethan, puts up signs saying, vote Gideon. But they also say she will defund the police. This comes a week after the Democrats put up signs promoting Collins with Trump. Strim, you loving this, hating this, or shall we wake you up when it's over?
Let me do my best Phil Harriman impression here. Nothing but a bunch of partisans having some fun, getting other partisans riled up. Nobody else cares. Wake me up when it's over. Phil, Susan Collins' PAC gave money to 2 legislative candidates associated with conspiracy theorists QAnon, this extreme right-wing group. Collins says she did not know that they were affiliated with that group. Phil, are you loving this? Are you hating this? Or wake me up when it's over?
Yeah, I'm hating this one. This is trying to make something out of nothing. It is very common for ballot candidates, whether they're the congressional district or the Senate races, to donate to legislative campaigns. It's almost done as a matter of ritual. And as Susan Collins said, she had no reason to be aware that they were a part of this, group. I'm hating it.
All right.
Ethan, Donald Trump criticized Susan Collins for her position against the Amy Coney Barrett nomination. You loving this one, hating it, or shall I wake you up when it's over?
I'm loving this one, actually. I understand that Collins is trying to make a more moderate image. There are some who might think that this helps her, sort of an anti-Trump, but in the end, Collins needs Republicans to turn out massively and to massively vote for her. Republicans are the 3rd largest party in the state of Maine. There is no way she can win unless there's a very strong turnout among them. Donald Trump telling Republicans he's disappointed in her, that does not help her with that equation. All right, last week, let's see, I was on the hot seat. And let's see, the record, I think, in 1 week is 4. Let's see if I can beat it. Schoolsy, all right, Phil, you take over from here. Schoolsy, you ready to score us?
Yes. Okay, so last week, the questions began with number 1, agree or disagree. 133 people have already voted in Maine.
133,000.
I'm sorry, 133,000. By next week, meaning this, we will cross the 200,000 mark. Strim said agree. Schoolsy, how'd he do?
Nailed it.
He's off and running. Number
Yeah,
two.
let's just, as we said earlier, 278,000 already voted. Impressive.
I was one of them.
Yeah, me too.
Second, the third and final presidential debate will be postponed. Strim said disagree. Schoolsy, how do you do?
Nailed it.
Roll. Number three, a nonpartisan U.S. Senate poll will show Susan Collins has taken the lead. Strim said disagree. Schoolsy, how do you do?
This one was like yours last week, which you ultimately got right on the Sarah Gideon expanding her fundraising lead. I'm sure I would have gotten this one right if somebody had just released a poll, but none came out.
Stop whining. Number four, agree or disagree in tonight's second congressional district race between Dale Crafts and Jared Golden. Nancy Pelosi's name will come up at least 3 times. Strim said agree. Schoolsy, how do you do?
Nailed it.
On fire.
Yeah, I didn't. I'll tell you what. I did not watch the whole debate, but Pelosi came up 4 times in the first 20 minutes, so I was quite sure it was a few more after that.
Number 5, agree or disagree. Either Jared Golden or Angus King will make an endorsement in the U.S. Senate race in the next week. Strim said disagree. Schoolsy, how do you do?
Nailed it.
Yeah, I don't think you've had a better week. Number 6, agree or disagree. The New York Giants will win their first football game of the season this weekend. Strim said disagree. Schoolsy, how do you do?
Failed it.
I know. I bet them against my boys, and they finally win. But you know what? If I get the win in the book, but I lose on nailed it or failed it, I'm okay with that. But I actually kind of would like them to be 0-6 so we could, get a higher pick.
Not bad this week. 4 right, 1 wrong, 1 push. That puts you at 16 correct to my 18. It's tightening up.
Yeah, look at that. 2 weeks to go. So I thought with 2 weeks to go, Phil, I'd try something a little different. You up for something a little different maybe this week?
Yeah.
All right, so this is what I'm proposing, that we go head-to-head this week and next. Next week, we'll obviously be doing our predictions, so that's going to be like the big one. Those ought to be worth 2 points. We'll figure that out. But we've each gone 5 times so far. The score is 16-18, as you said, so I figure head-to-head, we can each earn 6 points this week. We can each earn however many points we do next week. You game? You in?
I'm up for it. Yep.
All right. All right, so... we'll go. Oh, by the way, we'll go back and forth. You'll ask one, I'll ask one. That way, you can't simply just say the same thing I say, so that you guarantee not to give me a lead. All right.
All right. I'm going to ask the first one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Agree or disagree? In the final presidential debate, President Trump will interrupt Biden less than 15 times.
Disagree. No way. He's that's his game plan. He's going back in with the same one. So I'm going to say disagree. And you?
I'm going to disagree as well.
You think it's going to be more than 15?
No, I think it's going to be less than 15.
So you agree, I disagree.
Yes, I agree. Less than 15.
Less than 15 interruptions, and Schoolsy will have to determine what an interruption looks like.
Yep.
How exactly that works. All right, second question. Agree or disagree? In the final presidential debate, Biden will once again call the president a clown or something equivalent, some other derogatory name.
I disagree. I think Biden needs to stay on the diplomatic trail.
I'm with you on that one. Disagree as well. All right. We were different on the first one. I'm going to be the same on that one. We'll both disagree.
Okay. Number 3, agree or disagree with 1 week in the national margin between Biden and Trump will shrink to below 8 points on average.
Within 1 week. So the question is, 1 week from now, will it have tightened up to 8 points? I am going to say I disagree. I don't think it's going to tighten up to get below 8 points.
I believe it will shrink to below 8 points on average. So I'm going to disagree with you.
All right. Next up, agree or disagree. By next week, we will cross the 400,000 mark for early votes. Remember, we're at 278 right now. We're going to go to 400,000. Do you agree or disagree? Phil Harriman.
I agree. I think people are eager to make sure their vote is cast, and they're going to try to avoid the lines at the polls.
I'm with you on that one. I agree as well. I think we will get over 400,000. So, all right. Number 5 is you.
Agree or disagree, Pelosi and the White House will finally come to an agreement on a stimulus package.
Oh, my God. This one has just been killing both of us, honestly, although I think you've been a little better at recognizing. I am going to say they will come to an agreement. And the question is just, will they come to an agreement on it? Obviously not that it's not going to pass, but I'm one last time, I'm going to be hopeful and say I agree.
I think they're finally going to do it. Both the president, the Senate, the House, all are on the "we got to do something" trail. I'm agreeing they're going to do it.
You think the House? So you think the House and the White House are going to come to an agreement? All right,
I do.
Good. Final one: agree or disagree. In Portland, those opposing the 5 referenda will report spending or having raised over $500,000 in total. The reports are due Friday. Phil, are they going to cross the $500,000 mark?
I'm going to disagree. I don't think they're going to make the mark.
I think I'm going to agree. I think they will cross that mark. They're spending an awful lot of money down here, but all right, there it is. So I think just so I got these right, on number 1, we are in the final presidential debate. You are saying it will be less than 15 times, and I am saying more. So you're agree, and I'm disagree on number 2. Biden will once again call the president a clown. I think we both disagree with that one. On number 3, within 1 week, the national margin will be below 8 points. You agree with that. I disagree. Tell me if I'm getting any wrong. And number 4, by next week, we both agree that they will cross the 400,000 mark. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, there it is. We'll see. We got 3, I think, where you and I are on the different page. So that's those will be the number. Those will be the marks to decide if I can close the gap. Nice job.
The clock has run out. The buzzer is sounding.
Okay, Ethan, as we do each week in honor of Maine's bicentennial year, we answer a Maine political trivia question. Here is last week's question. What is the most popular first name for Maine governors?
Yeah, I had to go through them all in order to get this. That's what actually was kind of fun. There's lots of funky names, and as we said last week, very surprised. Not surprising. There's no Ethans because there just aren't that many Ethans, and that's a newer name in some ways. But I thought there for sure would be some Phillips, but there's no Phillips. I don't think there's any Harrimans, are there? Really? Even though your family's been here since I think back when the Inca first found this area. But here's what I will tell you. See if you can guess. The 2 most popular names are John and William. Which would you say it is?
I'm going to say it's William.
You know, I would have said the same thing, but it's John.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's actually 7. Now, this is a little twist on this one, too. There were 10 Johns, but 2 or 3 of them were repeat governors, as in they became governor, then they were out of office, then they came back to be governor. So there were actually only 7 that were, and that includes your buddy Jock, by the way. We did put Jock in there because he's John, right? Isn't that his real name? Yeah. So, but Williams, there were 6, and they're spread out all over everywhere. So anyway, very interesting. Lots of Johns and Williams, no Phillips and Ethans.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is next week's trivia question. Susan Collins, if reelected, will become the longest-serving woman senator from Maine. Who was the longest-serving United States senator of any gender from Maine? So we are looking for the longest-serving United States senator from Maine. You got any idea who that is?
I think I do, but I'm going to. I'll hold it till next week.
All right, good, very good. That'll be,
wow, we covered a lot of territory today.
We sure did. Boy, a lot of stuff going on. What are you doing for the debate tonight? You got your popcorn out?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I am. Tonight's debate is pivotal for both candidates, particularly to appeal to the truly undecided voter or the voter who is motivated because of the debate to actually decide to go vote.
You're going to get all the grandkids sitting around watching too? Keep them
they'll
all.
they'll all be in bed.
All right. Great show, buddy. Appreciate it.
Likewise. That's a wrap, folks. Okay, Donald, tell us how we did.
And you're fake news. You are fake news.
You think he's going to say that tonight?
Probably. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Have a great weekend.